Hello, divine, beautiful souls. This is Energy Speaks Podcast with your host, Katriel. This series or this season, we are launching and embarking and traveling through the Zodiac Energy Empowerment Series. And we are currently in the week of Taurus with our podcast. And we have a very, very special guest. She is a sister to me and the practitioner for the in person Taurus class, Melodie Porter, a local farmer in Citrus County, where we grow all the
That works.
citrus. No. Thank you so,
Fine.
so much for being here, Melodie. I'm quite honored to have you on here. I've been dreaming of it for many, many, well, actually years now, because we always have the best conversations.
He recorded.
Exactly. Now I'm having a coughing fit.
I'm sorry. Don't get me started.
So, I would love for you to tell us more about Melodie, your journey a little bit, and allow our listeners and viewers to get to know you a little bit better.
Okay. Yeah, I don't I was when I was thinking about this, I was thinking, how far does he want me to go back?
Well, from the conception. No, I'm kidding.
Where were my parents? Forgive me. I guess I guess that's kind of where it did begin for me. And I wanted to make sure that I didn't expound too much about that, but I do come from a farming background. My parents, I would say my dad's side, in Pennsylvania, from Pennsylvania, we're all farmers of some sort and still are to this day. So that's where my love of growing things. And my mom's from Belize. She's a wizard growing anything. So I just always grew up with the understanding that we grow things, we eat things, we live, So it came pretty naturally to me later on in life that I wanted to just decide to grow and that would be okay for me. Like I wasn't a doctor or a lawyer or anything like that, but I was like, I'm gonna make food, grow food that feeds people from like the inside out.
Mm.
So that's where the background of the desire came from. So we came from the Mennonite community in Pennsylvania, and that's what everyone does. We gather, we eat, we grow, we feed each other, we laugh. So that's just been passed down to me, and what lights me up and gets me excited. It's like, let's eat, let's make some food, let's grow something together, let's do, so
Sounds
yeah.
very Jewish. I had to.
Yeah, exactly.
When I think about, growing, I think about, trees and the root system and our values, which is all connected with Taurus. And so like in order for you to be doing what you are doing right now, um, it had to come from a root value system, you know? And I would love for you to go a little bit deeper on like what are your values? Because when you're making and preparing foods, you know, you're like instilling a piece of yourself in the meal. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Um, None of my hair, but a lot of me. We don't go quite that far, but absolutely, I've been thinking about this as well. Like, where did I, especially you know, growing mushrooms and starting to, you know, where did all of this start for me? Where did all of it really take root, you know?
Mm,
And I was thinking, I've always been in love with nature. Some people just are, you know. My upbringing and you know, everyone has a story. Mine was a little tumultuous indoors, so I always found myself outdoors in nature, uncovering bugs and rocks and finding things. So, I mean, I don't know about you, but if I find something awesome, I want to share it with you. Look at this, look at this, look at this, you know? So for me, it's like, oh my gosh, I found the mushroom and it popped out of it nowhere, or I found this amazing recipe. So that has, I'm just always excited to share what good things that I found with the people around me. And that just leaks over into food or ideas or whatever it is. It's just, I'm still this child inside, like, look, come share this, come find this out too. This helped me. Do you want, are you interested? You know? So I just am very excited to share. So it's like, here, have some bread, have some whatever. Just I like to make people feel comfortable and loved. That's just from part of my community and who I am as a person. So
it's beautiful. And you have
I don't know
always
if I,
done that.
what's that?
You have always done that. So Melody, for you know, no one knows our story essentially, but I we met each other through soul school, you know, and I will say you made me laugh so hard. You have such a beautiful light, I will say, because I remember the day you came in. I said, "Who is that girl? She's awesome. She had a gator." You remember the puppet? And with
Then I learned about,
you learned about Nathan.
it was all meant to be.
And it was like, and I remember coming up there for the first time. You know, David's like, "Hey, come on up," you know, and I went out there. We went to Applebee's later that night, but like I remember getting there. It was such a dark drive, and I was just like, "Where am I? Why do I feel like I'm going to a magical land?" And it also reminded me of like it really is, but it also reminded me of my granny and grandpa's place up in northern Florida. Well, we used to have now. And you know, that was a space of home for me, a place of comfort. And so when I got there, I was like, wow, I'm home. And so
Hmm.
when things, you know, like shifted in my life to where you know, go a couple years, you know, more, and we're, you know, I wanted to reconnect with David after having a, um, you know, I needed a break and a space to be able to clear my head, and it was the day before everything shut down, ironically, in the world, and
Yeah.
like we really got to bond through like one of the darkest times, you know, that our planet has known, you know, in you know this current universe or time frame or whatever the words are. And you know, like I really got to get to know you guys and the magic that you guys bring to each space and how sacred space is so valued. You really do put the love into everything you guys do, and I got to learn how to plant things, to really plant love. So I want to say thank you for that.
We planted literal rainbow tomatoes together.
It was
My
great.
rainbow is
Your rainbow what?
Rainbow tomatoes. We planted those together. So talk about planting promises and the future. We really did. And that's one thing too, when we're together, we do so many things in one conversation that just continues, and it's been beautiful knowing you. May it
Man,
continue.
may it continue. And continue with mahjong.
Yes. Ah, I'm in love.
So, for our audience, we actually right now we would be normally playing mahjong because it is a Wednesday. No, that's yesterday. Dang it. Oops.
Oh, we scheduled yesterday. That's what it is. Hi,
We had it
Barbara.
scheduled
Shout
for.
out to Barbara.
Shout out to Barbara. You broke up, sorry.
Oh, I said best mahjong teacher ever.
Seriously. Yeah,
Wow.
I recruited Melodie for Mahjong, which if anybody knows what that game is, it's literally the coolest thing ever. You remember like on the computer, guys, when you like, the older computers, you could pick out certain games. They had little, matching tiles and things like that you had to do. Well, there's a whole new world um to mahjong. That is not how you play mahjong. If you really want to play mahjong, come to Barbara's house on Wednesday.
Wednesdays at 11. She's amazing. I don't know if anyone else could have taught me that.
Seriously, and
Yeah.
she's such a great teacher, and it's just like it. Sometimes we need to have those moments of fun, in our life, just to kind of be ourselves and also learn something that honestly isn't so easy, but everybody's doing the same thing. And we
Right.
get to challenge each
We're in
other,
big-
you know?
Yes.
I don't know why. I think of like Mahjong and Aries for some reason, you know?
I'm Aries.
Because it's
Let's.
like it's like like I don't know, I feel like we're bringing in a taste of uh I don't know, like this is kind of funny because like I'm doing the game night with Chris,
Yeah.
for Aries. And so like I feel like when we're going through the different zodiac energies, a part of the series, like because you're at Taurus, um, you literally get all of the things beforehand that you're like, I conquered that one, and I conquered that one.
Yeah, we have all the ingredients then ahead of time.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So now I definitely have to go into this because this is exactly
Okay,
how I do it. This is exactly how I do it. So we'll
I'm
do this
ready for
part
this,
early
man.
because like so we talk about this Taurus energy and it's all about, manifestation, right? And co-creating with the universe. And what does that really mean? So before we go into that part of what we want to talk about with our class and everything, I'm going to set the stage. I'm going to set the sacred space. So for those who if they've never listened to a podcast previous to this and they have no idea what the Zodiac Energy Empowerment Series is, this is how you do it. This is how you do it.
That's how you do it, baby.
I had to. I'm not helping our coughs.
Hey.
So part of this is like we are setting a stage with Taurus, okay? And we have to go to the very beginning. And that starts with the Scorpio energy with the model. And Scorpio is all about setting the sacred space. Well, what are the different pieces, the ingredients in regards to that sacred space we're going to expand upon? And so, if we notice here, the zero energy, because we start off everything, with zeros and ones as the codes of the universe, right? So that sacred space, that zero, we can see that there is the outside of the circle, which is the chaos. It's just unorganized energy that we don't have light upon. It's
Hmm.
you know it's not bad, right, wrong, anything like that. It's just unorganized energy. And then we have the boundary saying we have now set the sacred space, we have put the intention there. And that is super important, especially when we plant something, right? So now we can
Mm.
actually use this analogy of like, this is what Melodie is creating, through her class of the conscious cooking. We are now going to feel every single ingredient. And this is how we can also apply these different ingredients to our life. So that sacred space comes with one, knowing who we are and being grounded in who we are, and then connecting higher, connecting with our source, with Hashem, God, whatever word you want to put in there that symbolizes the divine. And when we do that, it's not just us anymore, it's something bigger. There's a connection point to something bigger and more sacred. And then we want naturally in this space, after we've carved that out, we want to put ingredients in. And that first ingredient is one, the one energy, which is Leo, and that's the heart. We have to put the love in. And so, like, say, I'm going to jump into something more like, I guess, less concrete, more of like an intention. Okay. Um, let's say I want $1,000. Okay. That love is not for the $1,000. That's the intention, right? But how do we get the $1,000? Is actually connecting to something that brings us love and joy and creates that spark within our heart that we just want to sing.
Yeah.
And so, because we don't like, if we use the monetary thing, like that doesn't spark anything.
Yeah.
Money is just, go ahead.
It's empty at that point. It really just even thinking about it, it's like, okay, receiving, like winning the lottery or something. It's not about the money, it's about what it can do, what it can grow into, who I can help assist, how I can help assist myself. It's not the tangible thing, it's the expansion of it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I just got this like intuitive cue. I would love for you to expand on two things before we move forward in the ingredients. One, sacred space. How important sacred space is.
Well, actually, you helped me so much with this, and I think it was in Scorpio season. It's almost like you're set up to be in my life at some really key moments, and others are too, but really I felt like I was in chaos. It's like, what am I gonna do? I'm just there's so much creativity in my brain. There's so many ideas. And you're like, Melodie, you just need to create the space and the intention. And like you were saying, the zero, the inside, it's almost like creating that sacred space is allowing room for the divine to come in and further that creativity or that idea. It's like, oh, my guest is coming. I'm certainly going to tidy my home so that you sleep well, so that you feel welcomed into my space. So, creating those boundaries for me in creating the space to work with growing gourmet and medicinal mushrooms was really number one. It was number zero. It was the beginning for me. And you're like, you need to create the space. And for me, creating the space looked like actually sweeping and mopping, because it's an indoor outdoor building. So sealing up the doors, sealing up the windows, providing a space that something can be cultivated in safety. It's like almost getting ready from the ground up and doing these. I tell you, when I finally came out of chaos and was like, nope, I'm getting the broom and I'm gonna mop. And I scrubbed the heck out of the floors like 2, 3 times. And it was like the first time was cleaning, the second time was rinsing, the third time was like full of intention. It was like out, in. You stay out. This is the space of this. And it was really me creating the space in the most intentional way. It's just about getting started.
Yeah,
Like I can be all in my head as an air sign, especially, but getting started means putting my hand to the task, literally.
I love that.
Creating the space is physical for me before it can be anything else.
I love that. I love that. Wow. So, you know what? This is what we're gonna do because this is fun. Yay! I'm gonna I'm gonna give you the steps and walk us through those steps in your process. You know what I mean? So
In my
like,
in my creating.
yeah, exactly. So we just got
Okay.
the zero. So we got the sacred space. Now, Leo,
Yeah.
the heart. Talk about Leo the heart from your perspective of creating the whole idea with the mushrooms and what they're turning into.
Well, the whole idea with mushrooms is what I've been thinking about the last couple days in preparing for our meeting. And it really came from wanting to know what was hidden. Honestly, that's what it was
Mm,
about for me. Because like I said, I found myself outdoors in nature a lot when I was a kid. So
yeah.
all of this has been waiting to be grounded in for a really long time. Um, so I would go along the forest floor, looking at things, smelling the earth, just being outside, which is itself magical, and in deep woods. And you would see threads of white underneath leaves. You would see, and it's like, what? What is alive there? And that's what it was for me and is for me
Wow.
still today. It's like, I want to see what's hidden. I want to see. I'll respect it. I'll be kind. I'm not going to squish it, put it under a microscope for harm, but I want to see it live. I want to see it thrive and I want to see it grow. So, what's hidden that I can't see that's allowed for me to see? So, that's where I started. I started by trying to duplicate nature, in my younger years. It's like, well, let me bring this in. It wants to be on leaves because you'll see threads of mycelium out in the forest. And then one day in another location, you'll see a mushroom pop up. And it's like, wait a second, is this straight magic?
That's awesome. Wow.
So that's where my heart came from. I was like, I want to see. I want an inside look on this magical thing that happens. And this mushroom is like straight out of some alien planet. Like, what else looks like a mushroom here? Nothing.
True.
What else
Very
smells
true.
so earthy and woodsy and makes you want to inhale deeper, than mushrooms or growing things? So I started to experiment with that growing up and started learning about it, reading about it. There really wasn't a lot of information that I think we're given things. I think I'm given things at the right time, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I'm a great life experimenter. I just want to know how things grow and how things work and fill in the blanks, I just want to know. I'm so curious. So it was very revelational for me the end of last year, and I was like, if I legit won the lottery, would I still want to grow mushrooms? Yes.
Mm.
My answer was completely yes. If I was the wealthiest person in the world, I still want to know the hidden things. I still want to see the magical possibilities of life. Like, life is still amazing and entertaining and delicious.
Mm.
So that's
I
where my
love the
love and heart came.
I love that you challenged yourself with that question though, because that's like very, very like I've had to do that myself. Like if, because like often, we think about like if we had all the money in the world, well then we're free, right? That's kind of like the thought process in that. In some way, shape, I don't know. I've never had mountains and mountains of money. I don't know if that's actually the case, but it
It's
does give you
coming
more freedoms. But the fact
right.
that you're like,
You want,
yeah, you get to see because, like, essentially, that money equates to lots and lots of energy, you know? Lots and lots of
yeah,
energy. And do I still want to put my energy here when I have bounds and bounds of energy? That's
right.
that's amazing.
That was the solid point for me. It's like I created the space, and then those are the thoughts that came in after. And honestly, I feel like the zero definitely had to come before I could even ground in the reality. I could even get to the idea that,
Yeah,
yes, this is totally what I'd still be doing in some form, in some way. This is what I would love to do.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So we see how important that Leo energy is with that first ingredient and how strong it has to be in order for it to take life, literally,
Mm,
to breathe life in. And so we go into the second ingredient, which is the Cancer energy, which is connection to our soul, it's memory, it's like almost this mothering energy, but it's also the ebb and flow, the cycles. And within farming, you definitely have to have those cycles on point, right?
yeah,
So like
absolutely.
how was that for you? Like you had to like essentially find the rhythm of the mushrooms, right?
Absolutely. And honestly, that's exactly what I'm still doing. So you can there's so many things that we can think. So now that the energy has been grounded in and the idea is being worked on, it I can set myself up to do a thing, but the reality is cycles and seasons, just like
Mm.
in our lives, just like in the zodiac energies. There's still going to be cycles and seasons. I'll turn around and everything will go smooth sailing, and it's like, this planet is here and this planet is here, and that's why we're thriving right now. And then all of a sudden the brakes got hit, and I'm like, what again? What is on us right now? Because everything was going so good. So just like it happens like that for us, and it's like I'm picking up my tarot deck. I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? Or I'll text you and be like, hey, how's it going? Because something's up, So that's the same way it is with growing, and especially mushrooms, because they're really not hard to grow, but respecting temperature and humidity and understanding that when the outside temperature changes, we've got to adjust. So it's all
Mm.
about adjusting and being in the flow of whatever Florida weather brings us, you know, and and going from there. Because so okay, I it was really cold, so heating a place isn't as big of a deal. The area that I have is an enclosed pole barn that
Mm.
needs to be insulated, and the sun hits it really hard on the back. So it's like I had my little temperature gun out a couple weeks ago, and I was like, wow, that wall is 112.
Oh, gee.
Everything I bring in here is gonna die.
Wow.
So it's like, am I gonna adjust? Am I gonna go with the flow and figure out it's really just one step at a time, just like everything in life. We only
Yeah.
have to handle one now moment at a time. And the now moment for the pole barn, for the mushroom studio, as we're calling it lately, um, was to find a solution for that. And after that is find a solution for that. Instead of
Yeah.
getting caught up in, oh great, now what am I gonna do? And ignoring the solutions at hand. It's just about, is this what I want to do? Then I need to move forward. If it's, am I changing my mind? Okay, so then I need to find a solution. It's just about the the scene has been set, the intentions have been laid down. I am moving forward, and I don't care what's in orbit or what planet is next to us. I need to like paint that wall white. There's just a time to get something done. So it's just been like that the whole time. And I'm giving myself at times the grace and the forgiveness of just, okay, Melodie, I know where my dreams are and my desires are, but I just need to handle what's in front of me. I
Right.
can dream and desire and be so far, I can be like decades in the future, but if I don't have my feet on the ground, nothing's getting done. So for me, that's been okay, I need to weight myself down and get a thing done. So
Mm,
yeah, just working with the cycles inward and physically outward. And I feel like you had mentioned that the last time we were together, that it's nothing's different. We're still going through the same lessons that we are, no matter what media or medium is in front of us. We still
yeah.
have these specific things laid out for our life mission individually,
Yeah.
so I'm totally going to be moving forward. I
That's
don't know about
awesome.
you. I think you're moving forward too.
It's interesting. So like I started to think about like what's the next step in the model, right? Like what is the next ingredient? Sagittarius. And so like a couple different questions came up for me in regards to that. It's like, well, one, what are the wisdoms of the mushroom? One.
Hmm.
And two, um, what story do they want to tell to expand?
Mm.
I never really like,
Yes.
right? Like, and
Yeah.
I feel like it's still and it's an exploration. Like Sagittarius is all about exploring, and
Mm.
you may not know all the answers right now. I'm gonna go a little bit faster through this because oh God, we could talk for hours.
That's
So like
please.
but then we think about like questions like that, and then we bring in the fourth ingredient, which is Aquarius. And that's all about like shaking shift up, noticing where the mushrooms belong and where they don't. Where will they take off and where will they flourish and where will they not? And where do there need to be changes for them to actually expand because maybe the elements were not just quite right. And you kind of touched on them with like weather, those shifts and
Right.
changes have to happen. And they'll happen organically when you're paying attention, you know?
Mhm.
And then we get to the fifth ingredient, which is all about communication. And communication is like, well, it's kind of cool because mycelium is a communication network.
Yes.
So it's like an aspect, again, all of everything is an aspect of ourself, but even more so a visual of like how we communicate clearly, you know, to Mother Earth, to the universe, to wherever we're putting that. There's clear communication when we identify these previous steps or these ingredients that we put in, you know?
Yes. Yeah, there's a way forward. The path is laid out once all of this is falling in place. Yeah.
And then we get to um Libra energy, that sixth ingredient where it's the harmony or the melody.
Both together. It takes two, baby.
It takes two, baby. And you know, it's like that is where are the mycelium singing? Where are they totally in their element? They've now just like united themselves into a balance and a harmony. And it's just like, all right, baby, I'm ready to receive, you know?
Yes.
And then we get to that, like, you know, that seventh ingredient, which is Pisces. And it's a little bit more etherical. It's like the unknown waters of where these mycelium are growing. And if we can apply that back to ourselves, this is the moment where, you know, in this process, we have to say, I have compassion and understanding that, you know, anything that needs to be illuminated to me now, like allowing for them to speak to you, allowing for the universe to show. And it's like also having compassion for the process itself, you know, because that word compassion, you know, compassion, it's the love of wisdom. That's literally what that
Mm.
means. And so like
Whoa. What here? Yes.
and with that, it's like so we have that the wisdoms that the mushrooms are teaching and paying attention to that and reminding yourself why you started this. Like how you said, you had passion for it. You loved it. You're like, let's
Yeah.
do this, baby.
Yes.
And that just allows, you know, even though it's a kind of an etherical, you know, space, it's also an identification of like and a remembering of like this is why I began this. And so even if it takes time and I can't see the entire picture, I have faith in this process.
Hmm.
Then we get to that
Yeah.
the eighth ingredient, and it's all about the Capricorn. And the Capricorn, which you know well, Maya.
God, they're stubborn is exactly what came to my mind. Oh my God. I love you, Capricorns. My daughter's a Capricorn.
And so you know, that's the point where you have to make conscious decisions on what's best, highest and best for the mushrooms, and
Hmm.
commitments of being able to keep moving forward. Um, and then it's building a foundation of growth for these little babies, you know?
Yeah.
And then, you know, for it to just take off. And that's where that Aries energy comes in for the ninth ingredient of inspired action. You know, and some of these things we're breaking them down. Some of these things are very, very fast, you know? Like it's like all comes together and we're just breaking it down, you know? And so that inspired action is like you know, is because of your love. So if you happen to see, oh snap, like, you know, a storm's coming and I have to like move things around to make sure that my babies are okay, bam,
Right.
snap into it.
I'm gonna do it. Yes. Absolutely. I'm picturing myself. I'll check the weather so I don't have to be in that position. But
You know, Virgo. No,
right. But if needs be,
but and that's another
yes,
thing. It's like you've taken that action to even look ahead to make sure everything's okay, you know?
right.
And then it comes down to you put so much love and energy into these babies that now they're ready to bloom and you're ready to share and make magic with them. Like through a
Yeah.
conscious meal, like that's incredible. So now we're here and actually, you know what? I will say the last step because I don't want to forget it. So like we have this nice beautiful meal that's shared with others. That's if we think about that, we've had 0 to 9 at this point. We now have the 10, which that 0 pops a blade through the ground, and there's that love. It's identifying, and so like part of that Taurus energy is the Leo and the Scorpio energies combined, which is interesting.
Mm,
And then we see that blade of grass that comes through, or mushrooms in this sense,
nice.
in this case, and we have that Virgo that comes through for the 11. And so one beautiful mushroom is meeting another because it's replicated, and you know the rhythm to it now and the ritual that to do it over and over and over again and to share that love with every single one of those babies. So going
To
back to the
expand.
Taurus,
Yes.
yeah. And so going back to that Taurus, what can everyone expect when we go to Taurus class and what do we get to do? What you know?
Well, we get to make a meal together, hopefully with my very own mushrooms. So, from seeing them to cutting them up to talking about whatever comes up gloriously and intentionally. But we get to be together and eat together and share. Really, the wisdom of the mushroom is going to come up. The process of making a meal and the process of setting a sacred space for growing. It's so similar. Like I don't want to clean. I mean, I don't want to cook if the kitchen is dirty, right? So we're gonna come into a set stage, a clean space with all the intentions of being together and making food together. And I think that will magically unfold in some beautiful ways because when does it not? You know,
True.
I don't know if that's the answer you wanted, but that's my intention is to come open, grounded, and prepared to be with you and to talk about whatever process of the food or of the growing of the mushrooms or whatever we get up to in conversation. But yeah, I think it will unfold just perfectly and naturally. And we get to
And
eat good
what's
food.
exactly, and that's the other cool thing is breaking bread with one another is such a beautiful thing, and it shows us at this point, if you've done the work and you've put in the hard work within, you get to give that gratitude at the end and see how far you've
Mm,
come. You get to share that with one another, and that's something very divine. We should never take that for granted. Like to be able to share with one another our beautiful energy through food. And so
absolutely.
I'm very excited. And so I want to also there's a few different elements to this. Um Firstly, what meal are we actually preparing and eating at the end?
You've cornered me.
I what?
You've cornered me. We're alive. We've been trying to like solidify on one thing. Like you say, I want to try everything. I mean, I think mushrooms are amazing and so tasty, but I've just been trying to figure out what it is that I want to create with it. And I have decided. The meal
Okay.
is gonna be it's gonna be three aspects of one, where I came from, where I am now, and um some of what I've learned along the way. So we're gonna start out with some fresh and colorful salad, like not a traditional salad, but just like something that gets our digestive bodies going, because I want a complete situation here, you know. I want us to feel good at the end also and be healthy and thriving. So we're going to start out with something delicious and colorful, and then moving into a stuffed potato pancake with the mushrooms tucked safely inside, and then ending
Mm.
up with some delicious dessert, which will be a surprise.
Mm.
But I
Okay.
already know what it's sticky and delicious and gooey, and will fill your tummies.
All
The
right.
secret.
It's a secret. So, that sounds really beautiful and delicious. I'm like, my mouth is watering and I'm very hungry, actually. So thank you, Melody.
That was the pre-eating description.
And so what's really cool about this is that we're going to learn to actually cook this so that we can take this meal and create it again, you know?
I want
It
you to see how easy it is to make food for yourself. Um, or even, and what I have set up is something that you can um create for yourself for the entire week and stick in the freezer and take out, and so that you can always be eating something that tastes amazing, is good for you, and that you can eat in a pinch. It can be something like that. That's my goal, is to have these certain elements be something that you can just nourish yourself with, that can be made in a larger quantity, that and you feel confident about after you've already made it. And when you taste it and you're like, yeah, I would definitely like to prepare that for myself for the future.
I love that. Yeah. So it's gonna be a very gosh, this event is gonna be amazing. And surprise, because my mom doesn't listen to podcasts or anything like that. It's gonna be a surprise party for my mommy too. So she gets a nice, beautiful dinner. So come on out.
Yay!
But with
But
that,
don't
I
tell
also
mom.
don't tell my mommy.
What about the location? Did you mention anything about that? It's so
That's exactly
exciting.
where I was going next. So I am very excited for the location. It is at Phantom History House. If you get a chance, of course, you can go to energyspeaksbykatriel.com and find their information as well as Melodies on there. Um, but you can also go to phantomhistoryhouse.com and book yourself a room at this beautiful space at this bed and breakfast. It is like a so if you like spooky, this is for you. They are they have such a beautiful energy. Even though it's
Yeah.
spooky, it's just loving. And
Yes.
so
If you could combine those, that's what the
spooky
space
loving.
is.
It's
So
like
detailed in how they decorated it, set it up, so thoughtful, and the space just feels really good. It's not like spooky, like, oh, I'm scared to go around the corner. It's like, oh my gosh, how thoughtful, how interesting. And they're such a lovely couple. They're just good people.
they really are. And so no, it's perfect. Thank you. It's gonna be quite a treat. And so we actually have two rooms available that night. Um, we're gonna reveal the date. Wednesday, April 3rd. Did I get it right?
Yes. I was like, I
Okay.
hope I'm kidding. I know.
From 6 to 9 p.m. And so I'm very, very excited for this class because if somebody wants a whole full experience, they can. They can have that night for themselves. Like if you need a retreat, like even though you're in the Tampa Bay area, like or maybe you're abroad and you want to come and visit too, that's totally okay. But you know, we have such busy lives, I feel, and it's nice to have a little night where you just for yourself go and experience something new that's right in your backyard essentially. And so um, definitely reach out to me if you're interested in regards to that, because I do believe those dates are actually blocked off on the website. So if you are interested, um, I can make sure that that room is reserved, and I can put you in contact with them directly to be able to unlock those dates. So or that date so that you can experience you know the bed and breakfast energy. And I believe that um there's rooms available for both April 3rd and April 4th in this way. um so that's something that you can definitely explore. And it's gonna be nice. And also we have an invitation that anyone who's staying there that night and things, you can come as early as 3 o'clock, and we start, our dinner or our cooking time is from 6 to 9. And it's a good way to like really settle into the space and feel, the energies there. And we also have a nice little treat that if you're interested after the class, you're able to book with them for $25 a ghost story around the fire. And that's so fun. Like it's just, who doesn't like spooky stories? Come on now. It's
It's the perfect space for it, because they have so much, like you were saying, it's in Tampa, but you feel like you're in the country over there. You feel like you're in a quiet space. The deck above and the grounds below, it feels very private in that
and
way.
it's on a nature reserve. So
Okay,
like
bye.
exactly. So like it really is a home away from home kind of energy. Um which is really beautiful. And so, again, our class is April 3rd, a Wednesday, from 6 to 9. It's $60 for us to come and gather and explore the food realm with each other and make a beautiful meal and then partake in it. And then also, with that, uh, if you when you sign up online, we need to know what your food allergies are and things like that so that we can prepare. And that really needs to be pretty darn soon. As well as if you'd like to be a participant in the cooking. Some people like to do more cooking, right? And some people like to lay back and just like have the meal. So you have an option to just partake in the meal, or to be an active participant and also partake in the meal. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's gonna be super fun. Um, anything else you'd like to add? Then?
One thing that we spoke about, but I don't know if that landed in the reality yet. So I don't know if I'm over speaking, but we had
Mhm.
mentioned something about maybe having someone doing readings there because it is such an eclectic space. I didn't know if you had lined anyone up for that, but yeah.
So I'm going to inquire because I did inquire, and um their normal reader, Kristen, our practitioner for Aquarius online, she actually wants to attend the class. So
Okay, cool.
so I'm gonna see
Okay.
what I
Well,
can do.
okay. I think it would be a really neat space to do that in, because there's spaces to be private, and just how they have their whole area set up. It's just so beautiful. I don't know. I fell in love with them and the
I
space.
love it. Oh
Yeah.
man. So yes, it's gonna be a joyous occasion again with a birthday. And it doesn't have to end with my mom's birthday. If your birthday is in, I would say either Aries or Taurus, because like they're so close together and it's a Taurus class, because why not? Um please, we'll celebrate your birthday as well. So make it
Yeah.
a joyous occasion with us.
Yeah.
So that being said, I also want to say, it's always great to take notes and things like that, especially with the recipe. Of course, you'll be given the recipe, but just like your experience and to reflect on what the Taurus energy is. And so I have a beautiful journal called the Zodiac Energy Empowerment Series journal, and you can get it on
Mm.
Amazon for $22. And it really is helpful, you know in regards to processing information. I often look back at my journals, and it actually takes me in a certain direction because I relooked at something and I'm like, oh my goodness, I wanted to do that and I never did, you know?
Is this akin to the book that you had made me that one year? It feels
Not
like the same
exactly.
flavor. Okay.
It's
Okay.
not exactly, but it's very similar. So this particular journal has all of our classes in it, in regards to questions and prompts, specifically with every single class, both online and in person. So it's a nice reflection piece for every single class.
Wonderful. Okay.
And
I'll check it out.
also, oh, thank you. I will have some readily available for our class for purchase. So if you don't
Okay.
want to go on Amazon, but if you do, they come in like 2 days or something like that. It's like kind of funny, Prime is right there. Um, but also I'd like to speak on one more thing before we go. Um, we have our I've named it the Heart and Soul Celebration for the Zodiac Energy Empowerment Series, or the Z's. And that is going to be, again, Sunday, April 14th. It's from 1:11 p.m. to 10:10 p.m. It's a family event. We're gonna have different workshops. We're gonna have different vendors. We'll have our practitioner um, panel where all of us will be coming together. And this is actually going to be this particular part from 6:30 to 7:30 with questions afterwards, no later than 8 p.m. We will have that both online and in person. So I'm setting things up to be able to interact with everyone at a worldly scale. Um, uh,
Wow.
yeah, which is gonna be epic.
Wow, bridging it all in. That's
Hey.
amazing. Wow. Full circle, man.
And so, if you are near the Tampa Bay area, this is going to be an event you cannot miss.
Mm.
Honestly, we're going to have our first workshop is going to be Orasoma. Our second workshop is going to be led by our Virgo practitioner, Ella. She's going to be teaching on Chiron and Aries, since we'll be in Aries season, and Chiron is the wounded healer. We'll have another workshop having to do with breath work with our practitioner from Leo, who is Gary Liana, and that's going to be super amazing. And then we're going to have a steel mace workshop with our own Aries practitioner online, Julio Zavala, and he's going to be doing steel mace, which is really awesome. Um, which you can find out more about that class actually coming up next week. So we're gonna have a lot of different things. We're gonna have food. We're gonna have vending. we're going to have readers, Kristen. So if Kristen doesn't get to read, that night because she wants to actually partake in the class, you'll actually get to be able to have a reading with her um, uh, here at the event. And there's going to be lots of different beautiful features. We're going to have a fire, we're going to have an open mic, and of course that panel. So it's going to be an event that you really can't miss.
Sounds amazing. Okay. I feel like you're speaking just to me since it's us. I'm like,
I love that. So, one, I want to say thank you, Melodie, so much for coming on here today and taking your time and sharing your beautiful heart and energy with everyone.
hmm.
Mer.
Thanks for having me, inviting me. Ah,
Mer.
I love you.
I love you too. And I want to say thank you so much to our listeners for being here. We cannot do this without you, honestly. And um, if you enjoyed this podcast, please, there was a lot of wisdom in this. Share it with someone. It could bless their day, truly. So that is all for this Taurus episode with the Zodiac Energy Empowerment Series Energy Speaks podcast. I am your host, Katriel. Bye, divine, beautiful souls, and see you later more so.